It has been 20 years since the start of a global war on terror by the United States of America. US President Joe Biden promised the world to end relentless war and start relentless diplomacy. After he was seated in the White House, a new US intelligence report now suggests that there are plenty of concerns for the Biden administration even after the chaotic withdrawal from Afghanistan. The report estimates the presence of around 10,000 fighters of the terror group known as the Islamic State or ISIS in parts of Syria and Iraq, and calls the development as a low-level insurgency. It says the Islamic State looks poised to increase activity after a period of recuperation and recovery. As per the Defense Intelligence Agency, IS activity grew during the month of September, nearly a month after the Afghanistan withdrawal. Erratic attacks were also reported in Syria's central desert against forces loyal to Syrian President Bashar al-Assad. It mentions evidence on relocation of these terror groups from the central desert to other parts of Syria. The report comes nearly 2 weeks after an outpost in Syria, which housed US military troops, was allegedly attacked by unknown personnel. Iraq too witnessed a deadly attack last week in which 11 casualties were reported. US officials claim that money, supplies and fighters can freely move from Syria to Iraq. Fuel, infrastructure, supply routes and even Iranian militia have been some of the key targets, according to this report. The report shares US concerns of incompetence by the Iraqi security forces at a time when Iraq is flirting with the US to end all military combat operations in the country. US President Joe Biden had made a promise in July to withdraw all troops from Iraq. The Pentagon has said it remains committed to maintaining the US military presence in Iraq, but at the invitation of the Iraqi government. Last month, Iraqi security forces arrested Sami Jassim Muhammad al-Jabouri, who is described by the Pentagon as one of the top leaders in the Islamic State. The arrest is seen as significant by the United States, as al-Jabouri was seen as a candidate who could have possibly replaced the current leader of ISIS, that is Abu Ibrahim al-Hashimi al-Qurashi. The executive president of the Syrian Democratic Council claims the Islamic State has established bases in key cities like Raqqa and Deir el-Zur, fueling fears of a possible resurgence. Let's now shift focus to Iraq. The situation in Baghdad remains tense. One person was killed and several others injured as angry protesters clashed with the police in the Iraqi capital on Friday. Protests came after a month of Iraq's parliamentary polls that saw the pro-Iran group lose. The demonstrators rejected the election results. And since then, there have been camping outside Baghdad's green zone. They also threatened violence unless the demands were met.
الناس طلعت هاي الناس المواطنين طلعوا يطالبون بفرز اليدوي بفرز انتخابات يدوي من حقه هو مكتوب بالدستور هذه مو بس بالهذه طلعت الناس هاي كلها محافظات بصرة عمارة ديالة مواطنين جاي يطالب بالحقوق.
On Friday, around 300 protesters marched, apparently trying to storm the heavily protected green zone which houses government buildings and foreign embassies. The protesters used rocks to pelt security forces. Riot police responded with batons, tear gas and water cannons to push them back. According to the Health Ministry, at least 27 civilians and 98 members of the security forces were injured in the initial scuffle. Later, a security source speaking on condition of anonymity said that a protester had been fatally wounded and later died in hospital. Iraq's Joint Security Operations Room says that the Prime Minister, Mustafa al-Kadhimi, has ordered an investigation into Friday's violence to determine what sparked these clashes and who violated orders not to open fire. Speaking on the clashes, the UN mission in Iraq said that it regrets the escalation of violence and the ensuing injuries in Baghdad and called for utter restraint. WION World is now available in your country. Download the app now and get all the news updates on the move.